Hi guys, good morning and welcome to my Knitting and Crochet podcast. My name is Mandy and you can find me on the internet as Mandy Von Knits on Ravelry and Instagram. I am a 40-year-old woman from southeastern Michigan. I live here with my husband and my two kiddos and I love to craft. Today I have a whole bunch of stuff to show you. I have grabbed out about 4 or 5 of my most worn sweaters and I'm going to talk about why I love them and the patterns, kind of give you a little bit of detail on the patterns and what went into making them and why I like them and how I modified them if I did. And I've got some finished objects. I have both finished objects in crochet and knitting. I have been very busy this week. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, please stick around. I would love to have you. Okay, I am going to draw for the digital prize pattern and I am going to leave a blank spot right here. And if that was you, please reach out to me on either Instagram or Ravelry as Mandy Von Knits. Let me know what prize pattern that you want and I will go ahead and gift that to you. The only 2 rules are you can only win once a month and the pattern price has to be 15 USD or under. Now, if you're new here, every podcast I give away a digital pattern and I can gift it to you on Ravelry if you use Ravelry. If you don't use Ravelry, let me know that too and we can find a different payment platform to gift it to you on. The only thing you have to do to enter is just leave a comment down below. And next week I will go ahead and draw from the comments and if you see your name, just reach out. It's just that easy. Okay, now that that's completely out of the way, let's kind of get down to business here. What should we start with? I'm gonna start with what I've machine knit. I have actually only knit one machine. I have only done one machine knit hat this week. So here it is. This is it. Nothing really special. This is the Herrschners worsted Halloween sparkle yarn. Now I have had a lot of trouble with this skein. And that is why there's only one hat. So the skein started falling apart, which, I mean, not that big of a deal, but it was also catching like, I don't know, it was catching stitches, it was dropping stitches. I've had trouble with this yarn in the past, but not to this extent. I am hoping that I'll go ahead and put the rest of the yarn on and the rest of the hats will kind of crank okay, but I guess we'll see. I do like these colors. They're definitely Halloween and I think they're kind of cute. So the sparkle definitely makes these colors for me. I know that it makes the yarn a little bit thicker, a little bit harder to crank, but I love the sparkle. So I think it's worth it. The only problem that I have is, whenever you crank some and like immediately have to grab the crochet hook and fix the stitches, it can be a kind of labor intensive process. So it is what it is. But that was the only hat that I machine knit today. Or last week. I am scatterbrained today. Have you guys had a week like that where I don't know. I wish I could have a do-over of last week or something because it wasn't very good. I'm hoping that next week gets better. So I guess we'll have to see. Keep your fingers crossed for me. So I am showing you here a hat that I crocheted. Now, this is a very easy hat to crochet. I'm going to put the pattern up on the screen. I honestly can't remember what it was called. But as soon as I got the stitch counts, I didn't really need a pattern anymore. Basically, the idea for this hat is you crochet a chain and then half double crochet through the back loop up until you get a long enough piece to sew it together to make a tube and then cinch it up top. Now, I put a little pom-pom up top. This yarn is pretty bulky. It's super bulky, so I had to put a pom-pom there because, I don't know, I wasn't very keen on the cinching part. I thought that it looked messy without the pom-pom, and I think that it looks very good with the pom-pom. Now, my daughter wants this hat, so I told her that she could go ahead and have it. So that's who's getting the hat. I thought that the yarn was okay. I don't know. I have 3 skeins of this, and it's okay. I would have preferred if I had 3 of the same color skeins for this. I didn't necessarily want to turn it into a hat. I wanted to turn it into, I don't know, some kind of blanket of some sort. And I thought that they would be pretty, but the colors that I have are so far off from each other, I don't think I could make it into any kind of cohesive blanket. So I decided to just crochet up some hats. So last week I showed you guys some crochet hats for super bulky yarn, and I did attempt to do those, and I am back here to report that the idea of the hats was fine. I am not good at slip stitching. So the hats that I showed you were slip stitched as opposed to this, which is half double crochet. And that's okay. It looks closer to knit, but I feel like I would have preferred doing that exact pattern in thinner yarn. I think that with the super bulky yarn, it's a lot harder to slip stitch. I was having trouble getting my hook in the slips to kind of crochet along the side. That is why I changed the pattern, and I like this one better. I thought it was cute. And my daughter liked it too, because immediately as soon as she saw the pom-pom, she's like, oh, look, can that be mine? So yes, it can be yours. So I also made this one because I wanted to use all of the yarn. So I've got this really itty bitty hat here. And I might take the pom-pom off of this one. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sold on it yet. But I do think the pom-pom's cute. I think this is about toddler size. So I feel like a 3-ish year old would be okay with a pom-pom. But, you know, I always worry about stuff like this. So I'm going to have to think about it. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you think that this one is sufficient enough without the pom-pom, or if I should keep the pom-pom on. I worry about kids being small and putting things in their mouth, especially because this one is it's a smaller hat, right? So that is kind of where I landed. Now, I used all of that yarn to make those 2 hats, which I like. I love whenever I can use a complete skein of yarn and it's just gone. That, I think, is why I like the Musselburgh so much. And any one skein pattern. So last week when you watched, you saw that I made 2 green and black hats. They were made with a type of like a bocal yarn, boucle, yes, that's the word. They were made with a type of boucle yarn, and I thought that they were cute. The problem was I had some of the green yarn left. I didn't have any boucle left, so I started thinking about, okay, what can I get away with making with just this itty bitty bit of yarn? So I ended up making this little like bear hat. I don't know. I tied the ears with just some yarn and made this little alien bear. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm going to ask my daughter if she wants it for her little doll because she loves when I make the doll clothes. And what I did with this was basically the same thing as the other bulky crochet hats. The only difference was I folded it the other opposite way. Instead of folding it vertically, I folded this one horizontally, and I did that because I didn't have very much of this yarn left. In fact, I didn't even have enough to go over the edges because normally if I would have had enough, I would have single crocheted around the edge of that just to kind of even it out some, which is why her little baby doll's gonna get it. But I thought it was cute. I love the idea of like the little baby bonnets with the ears, the bear ears. I remember when my son was little, we had like those little bear ear hats and the sleepers and stuff. So that's kind of where I got the idea for this. But that was what I worked on throughout the week, involving trying to use up some of the super bulky yarn that I have, because I do have 2 more skeins of that. So I'm gonna have to think about what I want. Maybe I can make like a crochet scarf with one, because I think that the yarn would do pretty well as a crochet scarf. I really have to take a look and see what the 2 colors are that I have left. Maybe somehow those 2 colors go together and I can make like 2 striped scarves, or maybe even just 1 color of each. Although, I don't know, there's something very pressing about crocheting just in 1 color. Sometimes I like to see different colors, but okay. I had a doctor's appointment last week, and you guys know what that means. That means that I have to pull out something that is car friendly and easy to transport, easy to use in waiting rooms, easy to be basically taken everywhere, all over the place. So my pattern that I love to bring on the go with me is a Musselburgh. If you are not familiar with the Musselburgh, it's by Ysolda Teague. Everybody's made it a million times. I have made it a good number of times. I've made it a lot more times than is in my Ravelry. That's because I'm really bad at logging them. But I enjoy the pattern. It's just I want to say that it's just a knit tube, and I'll show you that in a second. But the cool thing about the Musselburgh is that you cast on from the crown, and you increase until you get to the width of the hat, and you work all the way to the other side where you start the decreases for the other crown. Now, when I say other side, let me kind of take this one apart, because this is the one that I finished. And if you've never seen one before, this is what it looks like on the when you take it apart. So here's one end, and you basically work from this side and go all the way to right here. Now, the Musselburghs that I have worked have always been either fingering weight yarn, or I'm holding fingering weight yarn with like a carrier yarn, like a silk mohair. And I really like how thin that makes them, but still warm. And I say thin because they are double layered. So let's talk about this yarn, and I love how this pools. So this yarn is from Blackbird Sycamore Yarn, and this is called Neon Anime, and I love how this pooled. Like, you can totally see it, and look, it looks like stripes. That is so cool. I wonder how she dyed that. Let me look at this side. And it's really more of it. That's so consistent. I should be super impressed, like, that my gauge didn't mess it up. Because you know how sometimes when you're knitting along and something good happens, so you're all relaxed. And then something bad happens and you're like strangling your needles. So that didn't appear to happen very much here. I did knit most of this while we were on vacation this summer, so that could be it. This week I actually picked up and finished the decreases, so there wasn't much left to be done, but I kind of wanted to, you know, tie it up. I've got a couple of projects that are just kind of in a little bit of a half finished, almost finished limbo, and I've been thinking about my Christmas sweaters that I want to get done, and I'm thinking about, you know, spreading myself too thin with just a lot of different projects. So I decided that I'm going to start kind of focusing on getting a couple of things done just to get them out of the way. So that way I can focus on the Christmas sweaters, because it is what, September, I don't know, like around September 20th, September 19th, somewhere in there. So September's gonna be gone before we know it, and we're running out of months before Christmas. Now, I will be able to show you my daughter's Christmas sweater, and I have been working on it, but first I have one more thing to show you, because I actually finished this as well. Now, this is called the Breton. This is a pattern by Alison Green, and originally I ran across this in a Wool & Co. newsletter, and they were talking about Baroque modern linen, and I have never tried it before, and I have never tried linen before, and I have always wanted to, so I decided to go ahead and order some. I ordered it in 2 colors. I ordered it in hot pink and black, and I'm still trying to decide what to do with the black, but I did cast on, or not cast on, it's crocheted. I did crochet Breton with the modern gossip pink color. So this is what it is. This is a crocheted mesh sweater, and I have not blocked it yet, and what I really wanted to do was show it to you before it gets kind of thrown in the washer and dryer, because that's what's gonna happen. I am very interested to see how this washes and dries, but it's not very soft, so we're just gonna have to see. Let me put this on. So there we go. I added this band last week and did one of the sleeves, so I'm not sure which one, but I think it was this one. They wanted this to be about twice as wide as it is, and I did not want that. I did not feel like it would be beneficial to me. I thought that it fits fine as it is. So I am very interested. I want to feel how the linen feels after it's washed and dried a couple of times, because the thing that I hear most commonly about linen and about knitting with linen and crocheting with linen is that linen does not feel very good while you're crocheting it or knitting it, but once it washes, it's like the more you wash it, the softer it gets. So I'm looking forward to it. Either way, I do like this. I have always kind of wanted like a mesh something, so that a mesh sweater, I shouldn't say something, a mesh sweater or a mesh cardigan that I could throw on, like especially when it's summer, but maybe I'm going outside and I don't want bugs around, or I don't know. Something where I can wear it and not get too warm, because, you know, we do get kind of hot weather here, but it was a lot of fun to make. I did like the pattern. I had a bit of trouble kind of getting into the swing of things with the crochet pattern, because there wasn't really much of a chart. I would have preferred if they had at least the first row charted. I feel like it would have been a little bit easier for me to understand. Once I get past, you know, the pattern setup, I'm usually pretty good and just can continue on. But the initial pattern setup, when it's all words, kind of makes my brain go, ah! So it is what it is. I did get past it. I did manage to get the crochet meshes all lined up and looking good. So I did like doing this. I'm happy that it's done. This was one of the things that I kind of focused on in the last 2 weeks, just so that I could get it done. Just because I know that, you know, October is going to be here really quick, and that's October, November, and December. So we're going to have to see. I have a feeling after I finish one of the projects I'm going to show you, I'm only going to be working on my Christmas sweaters for a while. If you're new here, I have decided that I am going to make my son and daughter all over color work, strange Brew sweaters. And I don't want to say they're matching, but I'm using the same pattern. But if you're familiar with strange Brew, you know that you can basically mismatch any of the patterns, swap them around, the stitch color work charts. Words are going to be hard for me today, but I have been having my daughter pick out the different color work charts that she wants in her sweater, and when I show it to you, you're going to notice like an overarching theme of there are cats all over it, which is good. She loves it and she's super excited to wear it. She has been talking about it nonstop, so I'm happy about that. And then I don't know what kind of charts my son is going to pick whenever I get to it, but I do have the Doodle 8-bit hat by Jamie Lomax, which is the designer who does the Doodle decks, and that means that I have like some of the 8-bit graphics from video games, and I think that once he sees those, he will be very excited. So we'll have to see. He is also one of those types of people that like the star charts and things like that. So now let me see. Try to get this out of the way. Let me show you this. Like I said, I have a lot this week to talk about. So I have been working on Let Your Heart Unwind. Is that what it's called? I should really know this. It is a one skein shawl. Yes, it's Let Your Heart Unwind. And it is by Locatelli. And it is just a really cute small shawl. And I have been working on it for one skein September. And this is the pattern that I am going to try to focus on next week. I am on section 7. And there are 13 sections. I'm pretty certain that I can make very decent progress on this, especially because the next, I think 3 or 4 sections are just the repeats of the same sections we've been doing. So this is what I have. And you can kind of see how the shape's going to unfold right here, because now we're working straight probably until about here, and then it'll curve up in a little and decrease in a little arm. I don't know what to call it, a point right here. So I've already told my daughter that when I'm done with this, she can have it. So she's super happy about it because she does like the color, but she also loves to wear dresses. So I figured that that will be very fitting for her. And you know what? Surprisingly, I'm really enjoying making this, which says a lot about me because I'm not necessarily a shawl knitter. And not because I don't like to knit shawls. It's just I haven't found much of a need to make them. So whenever I started working on this project, I had a little bit of trouble with the first section of lace. But once I got the idea of it, the second and this third one right here were super easy. I kind of still struggled on this second one, but by the third one, I'm like, okay, I'm an old pro at this. Now I've got it. So the lace isn't that difficult. It isn't. You just have to make sure that your pattern gets printed out all the way. and you just need to take it one step at a time. Now this yarn is Yummy 2-ply from Miss Babs, and I have no clue what this color is called. So it is some sort of pink, beautiful colored pink. Now, this is gonna be a weird segue, but have you guys heard the news? I am signed up for Miss Babs emails, Miss Babs newsletters, and she mentioned that she was selling the store, and one of the lead dyers was taking it over and basically becoming the owner. So I thought that was interesting. It's cool that she's kind of letting one of the lead dyers take it. So I thought that was neat. It was just a tidbit of news that I picked up reading newsletters this week. I'm sure that there's something on their website or one of their social media sites. But I've been having so much fun making this. I wish I knew what color. I wish I knew the color for this, but it's probably good I don't, because I would want like a huge sweater. Hang on, it's called Floyd. Pink Floyd. Okay, yeah. I understand now. Okay, what else? Here we go. Now this has been taking kind of a back seat, and it will be taking a little bit of a back seat next week too, while I try to finish that mini shawl. But after I finish that shawl, I can't say the only thing I'm going to be working on. The things that I am going to be mainly focusing on are this sweater and the colorwork sweater for my daughter. So let me show you what I've done with this. Because, uh-oh, I dropped needles. That's okay. So last week I talked about the button band, and I talked about how I wish the collar and the button band were two separate entities. And I swear, I did read the pattern. It just never occurred to me to look at the pattern for the band, because I've done button bands like 100,000 times. And I really thought that they were attached. So when I consulted the book and realized they weren't, I went ahead and ripped it out, and I am very happy with it. So let me show you. You can definitely see the difference. You see this little point? The collar goes right to the point, and you have the button band. Now I made this much thinner than I made the other one, and I feel like I like it better thinner. And this is actually really similar to the sweater, the sock arm sweater, the sock arms cardigan in the book. So the only difference, and I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say this. I don't know if it called for regular rib or twisted rib, or what kind of rib it called for, because I always do fully twisted 1x1 rib. And I do it because I think that it looks a lot neater when I do it that way. And when I do like a non-twisted rib, I need to go down needle sizes to make it look nicer. And I kind of just like the way that it looks half twisted like that. I also did the same thing on the bottom. Now the bottom ribbing is longer, and I like that too. You can see the contrast right there. And I think that that looks kind of nice. This is thinner over here, and this is longer. So if you haven't been here before, I should let you know that this is my sock arm cardigan. I am knitting this with Blackbird Sycamore yarn, and this color is, oh boy, what is this color? Number 1 black. I know that. This is like one of my favorite neutral colors. And this is Very Violet. And this is Scrivener. I hope I'm saying that right. but it's so soft. I am going to be working full-on colorwork sleeves. As soon as I get back to this, I'm going to be starting. And I've already got the yarn wound up and everything. So I'm excited to start. But like I said, I want to concentrate on that shawl just because I would like to get it done and kind of cleared off my plate. So that way I can focus on basically color work until they're done. And when I say focus on, I mean mainly focus on. Obviously, I have one thing that I want to show you that I also want to do. So it can't be completely focused on, but we'll try. We're going to give it a really good effort here. I have made my kiddos, so my son is 14 and my daughter is 10. I have made my kiddos Christmas sweaters for a long, long time now. I have a huge canvas picture in our entryway of them wearing flax sweaters with these long stocking caps, and the flax sweaters are knit in mandala. I color controlled the heck out of those because if you've ever knit with mandala, it's basically like a self-striping yarn, but when you're knitting with a self-striping yarn, it's going to end in weird spots and your sleeves are not going to match up with your body because of the difference in width. Well, I took those cakes of mandala and I basically wound them off into different colors and knit from it that way. And it worked because I was able to utilize all of the yarn just kind of in a different rearranged order, because I remember I made the hats as well like that. So I thought that it went pretty well. I'm not willing to do that anymore though, because they're much older now. In that picture, I think my daughter was like 4-ish, 3, 4-ish, and my son was like 7, 8. So definitely don't want to do that now. Now I am knitting my daughter a size extra small with a little bit of modifications to make it a little bit larger, but not as large as the small, because I wanted her to be able to wear this for a long time. I thought that it would be best if she could wear this Christmas sweater throughout the next 2 years, because the ones that I made last year, they still wear. Every time we have to get dressed up and they need to wear something, they're generally pulling out that sweater set that I made them, and they both very much like it. Ooh, that's heavy. Okay, so this is what this is what I've really been enjoying working on, and this is what I would really like to get a move on. And I have been having a lot of fun with this and my Ysolda cardigan, so I'm excited to kind of get the shawl done so that I can carry on focusing on these. So let me explain the yarn that I'm using first. Now, this is a strange brew that I'm working on. So I am doing a strange brew in fingering weight yarn, and generally, and I don't mean this as a tried and a hard fast rule for me, but generally I tend to stick with fingering weight sweaters. Sometimes I'll knit thicker weight, and my favorite sweater ever is knit in DK, so keep that in mind. But for the most part, I really like the fingering weight sweaters because you can wear them, they'll keep you warm, but you won't get super warm in them. Does that make sense? I hope so. So this is fiber optic yarn. This is actually a gradient pack, and you can kind of see it better here. We wound it all into one cake just so it would be easy. I knew that I was going to use all of each color in a row, so that's why it worked fine to wind it like this. I'm not sure how much of this I will be getting through, but but we're gonna try, and if not, I will find another use for it, because who really needs an excuse to use pink yarn? Not me. Okay, I've got needles everywhere, guys. Hang on. So this is her strange brew. Now I have the sleeves on needles, I have the neck on needles, and I have the body on needles. So let's see. This is where I believe we were around here last week. I've got this mouse and then the border in between, and I am just now starting another cat. You can see the cat up here, its little head and tail, and a paw print, and we have a parakeet and a heart. So she's picked out each one of these motifs and she's having a lot of fun with them. So after I do this cat motif, I go back to this border and do it underneath. And then I have a yarn ball that she's picked out that she wants me to do underneath that. So I'm not sure how much more she'll need. So this is her underarm. I'm gonna go with like maybe here. I'm gonna have to basically have her try it on to see, because my children are like me. I am 4'8" and very short, so it is what it is. It is a bummer to be short, but it does make sweater knitting easier. Although I would never want to be short just because it's easier to knit sweaters. It is much more of a pain in the butt to ask somebody to be able to reach something for you. I remember pre-wheelchair, whenever I would go into a store and I would be looking for something and I'd find it. And, you know, naturally, it's way up on the top shelf. Like, why do they put things up there? Come on. So then I have to go, like, find somebody down the aisle and say, hi, can you please grab this for me because I can't reach it? I mean, nobody ever minded, but it's still, it's kind of embarrassing to have to ask that. I'm having so much fun with this. I can't wait. Like I said, I have the neck on needles, and before I bind off, so I was thinking about this today. What I want to do is this. I want to knit all of the color work, or at least as much of the color work as I think I'll need. And then I want to block it before I do any ribbing. So I want the stitches to relax a little bit, and then I will pick it up and work the ribbing on the neck. And then I can probably have her try it on just to make sure the sleeves are the right size. But that is kind of what I'm going for right now. Now, like I said, this is a woman's small. Or extra small, sorry, but I will probably be making my son a size small or medium, probably medium. He's been like growing super tall, and like he's been growing a lot lately, so I want to make sure that the knitting keeps up with him. That has been so much fun to work on. It's like my favorite project right now. Which says a lot, because I'm also really excited about the sock arm cardigan. So look forward to seeing that in the upcoming months, because I definitely will be working on both of those. I'm hoping that I can get my 2 kiddo sweaters done and the sock arms cardigan, and then start working on my husband's, which probably won't be a Christmas sweater, but he will really like it. And if you've never seen it before, it is the Everything is Fine sweater. I'm putting up the information up there. And it's the sweater with the meme where the behind the dog is on fire and the dog's like, this is fine. So apparently, and I was looking at the pattern for this, and I thought that this was really cool. They actually, the person who designed the sweater got the permission of the person who made the meme to actually do that pattern. So I thought that that was really cool. But that is definitely what he's going to get. And I actually knew that I was making it for him whenever he saw it and he's like, oh, I would wear that. And I'm like, wait, what? Because my husband is not the type to wear knitwear. He is not a sweater person, although he will wear like a sweater when it's cold out. He's just never really shown much interest in knitwear. And I mean, I have a lot of stuff that I want to knit. So if he's not asking, I can find other things. Okay, like this, guys, because do you remember how I said I wanted to concentrate on that shawl and then start working on color work? I want to throw one caveat into it because look what I found. I am so happy. I really want to make this cat. It's so cute. This is a pattern that I got from a kit that I got from Herrschners, and it's called Witchy Whiskers, and it's in crochet. And when I saw the little cat, I thought it was cute. Now this has Herrschners My Ami yarn in it, which I've never used before, but let me see it. I can show you. They're just little skeins, and you've got black, orange, gray, and then just a teeny tiny bit of purple. So it looks like you only use purple for the bow. This is probably not going to take very long because, I mean, look at how much yarn you get. It's going to be teeny tiny. I wonder if I can see yarn weight. No. I will tell you guys tomorrow. I will tell you guys next week what the yarn weight is. I am hoping that it's like a thin. It looks pretty thin. I'm hoping that it's like a 2 because that is generally what my favorite amigurumis that I make are knit with. I like the small yarn, although I gotta throw a caveat out here. I really do like the really detailed ones, the small ones, but I've also made some that my daughter loves with the blanket yarn. So take that as you will. I enjoy making these, but she really loves the blanket yarn ones. I think it's because they're just so squishy and cuddly. So look forward to that because I've always got to find something else to make. Okay, guys, I am going to grab some of my sweaters and kind of move them off to the side so that I can show them to you one by one. Now, if you've been watching, you've probably seen these before. These sweaters are the sweaters that are sweaters or cardigans that I always grab. So I'm going out and I go anywhere and I need a sweater. I'm grabbing probably one of these. Although I will grab other ones, don't get me wrong, but these are my favorite. So I wanted to start with one of the newer ones. And if you were watching last year during Advent season, you've seen this. Now, this is the baseline Cardi by Susanne Sommer. And this pattern is so great. So first of all, I did this for an Advent project. So this was the Advent from Blackbird Sycamore yarn. And I mixed it with one of her neutrals. So I did a color stripe and then a neutral stripe. And I thought that that came out pretty well. Now, the reason that I loved this pattern was because, if you haven't seen it, when you get it, first off, know that the pattern is written for DK weight yarn. I use fingering weight, but the pattern is so detailed and there are so many modifications that you can make that it was very easy for me to be able to modify it to work with fingering weight yarn. Another thing about the pattern that I liked, well, I guess I've already said this, but it's the modifications you can make. She has different necklines and different lengths, so it can go longer. This is also knit sideways, so I love a good sideways sweater, and it made it very, I don't know, I love it. It's squishy. It's garter stitch, which makes me happy because garter stitch, a lot of times when I look at a garter stitch pattern, I'm like, I don't necessarily fall in love with it right away, but I love the way that it feels and how squishy it is. So when I realized that this was a very pretty pattern, and I love the way the stripes go, and I love the colors on it, and something about this just makes me so happy. So if you are looking for something that you could use an advent with, or that you want a pattern that's more of a recipe of different ways you can do different parts of it, like you can swap a collar, or you could swap the length, I would recommend this. I know that I had a lot of fun making it, and I wear it a lot, quite a bit. In fact, my husband knows that when I ask if he could grab me the stripy sweater, well, stripy cardigan, because I'm actually going to show you a stripy sweater too. So something about one row stripes that kind of very much appeal to me here. So this one, I actually have to pull my sleeve out. Okay, this is the Fantastitch by Stephen West, and I very much love this one. This is done in fingering weight yarn, even though I'm pretty sure the pattern was for DK. Now, in order to use fingering weight, I believe I worked the extra large as opposed to like a medium that I would have normally worked. But this sweater is very comfy as well, and you've got a bunch of different stitch patterns here, and as you're working it, it's always changing up, so I really liked that. I'm a big fan of how Stephen West does his short rows in garter stitch. So let me turn it around. You can see how there are short rows added to the sweater at the back of the neck. And he also does a rolled over collar. So it's double thick, and I think that that looks really nice. The rolled edges. I actually really like the way that the double thick ribbing looks as opposed to the fancy bind off. What is it called? The tubular bind off or the cast on. I've never had much luck making it look as good as that. And it's probably just me, but it is what it is. I love it. Now, one thing you might want to keep in mind if you decide you want to do a sweater by him is that, at least for the two that I have done, the separation for the armhole is a little low. So if that's something that bothers you, keep that in mind. You can kind of adjust the pattern as you go to not have the depth that big. Now, I hate using this as an excuse, but since I'm in a wheelchair, I'm not necessarily like doing jumping jacks and stuff, so it doesn't really bother me to have the armholes that low. It's not like it's inhibiting my movement. That's pretty much what I mean. But the yarn that I used for this is actually more Blackbird Sycamore yarn. And I cannot tell you what the blues are. I know that if you check my Ravelry page, I'll have them listed there. But I think they all go really good together. And I think it's a good pattern to use like monotone colors on. Like you could make this with one color, or you could make this with one color family like this. Or you could do like 50 different colors. I mean, the one thing that's pretty cool about his sweaters is that it's basically a blank canvas. You can make it as tame or as colorful as you want. So that is one that I tend to grab quite a bit. Now, I'm going to show you another striped one, and this is also another recent one. Now, this is a sweater by Joji Locatelli. This is called Stripy Unicorn, and I can explain very well why I like this sweater so much. And this is actually a circular yoke sweater. So, yep, that's the right way. The reason that I like it is the reason that it was so hard to knit. Are you guys following me yet? If you go back in time, you can see me because I was podcasting while I was knitting the sweater. I started off this sweater, I think 2 or 3 times working on the yoke, getting all confused and flustered. Finally, I decided, okay, I'm going to look at this pattern. I'm going to chart every single increase. I'm going to make tables. I'm going to draw pictures. And you know what? It worked. It paid off because I got it and I worked through it. And I now love the sweater. It fits great. I've made circular yoke sweaters in the past that have like extra fabric right here and like right here. And I do not have any of that with this. I feel like the increases were done in such a way it was very gradual. It meant that as you're knitting it, you have to really pay attention because you have some rows where you're increasing like 8 times, some 4, and it's always changing which spot you're increasing on, which was why I needed the charts, but I think it turned out okay. Now, this, I believe, was made with this dark pink color. Is called Mandy's Magenta, and Stephanie from Blackbird Sycamore Yarn dyed that up when I asked her if she had any magenta. And the other color is actually an all pink Advent. And you can't really tell the difference, but I think it works. So it was an all pink Advent, and I think it was from, no, I'm not going to say that because I don't remember who it was from. But I mean, that's pretty much all you need to know anyways. It's just some merino nylon. If you are looking for a circular yoke sweater and you want to try a new way of increasing, this might be one to try. Even if you did it in like one color, it might be worth it just to kind of see if you like it. This does have short rows in it too, and I'm laughing because I definitely had to redo the short rows like 4 times because it was one of those things. Okay, now I have my last and my best. This one I wear all the time. You are hard pressed to not catch me wearing this at least once a week. So this is Always There from Joji Locatelli, and it's inside out, so let me fix that. This I made one year for the Joji Fall knit along, and I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. Now this is done in Barocco Vintage DK, and I actually have some more of this, and I would love to make this exact sweater again. Not in the same color, but everything else about it. So let me see if I can show you. Everything about this sweater is so comfortable. This yarn is so soft. It's got ribbing. It's a great weight for me, especially when I'm super cold. I really like the buttons. I love the neck. I love V-necks. And I love that it's boxy, right? Because, I don't know. I kind of bounce back and forth between what I like. Whenever I feel blah, and there are times when I feel blah. I mean, everybody does, right? I'm sure you guys do too. So whenever I feel blah, I like getting into an oversized sweater or cardigan and just kind of being comfortable. That is my favorite kind of sweater, outerwear, and this kind of checks that box. I definitely have to make another one of these. And it's so sad too, because I wonder what other colors I have. I know I have Barocco Vintage DK, and I know I got it for the specific reason to make more of these. But the thing is, it gets hard, right? Because you don't want to make like 4 of the same sweaters and then that's all that you're wearing. Which, you know, to be fair, sounds like something I do. I do kind of have to glean it. You can see some of the pills, but honestly, that's not really, for as much as I wear this sweater, that's not bad at all. So I know that Barocco Vintage DK is wool and acrylic. And I'm telling you, this is my favorite sweater. If you have ever been looking for like an oversized cardigan that isn't too difficult pattern-wise, is really comfortable, and this is probably one of those that somebody who maybe hasn't made a cardigan before could try. I know that sometimes with Joji's patterns, people might have a little bit of a problem if they haven't done something like this before. It's a little bit easier to start a raglan as a first sweater because you kind of cast on at the top. But for this one, it's a drop shoulder. So I don't remember offhand, but I'm assuming that you're going to cast on the back of one side and knit for a little bit, and then cast on the back of this side and knit for a little bit till you can kind of join the back together, and then work down to just under the underarms. For Joji's patterns, you definitely want to make sure that you give yourself a little bit more, or at least be cognizant of how much armhole room you're getting. Because for some of her patterns, I've needed to add like an inch to the armhole depth, just because I don't like the grabbiness right there, and you might be like that too. Now, another thing about Always There is that after you knit the back and then the front and you kind of join them together. Now, for Joji's pattern, there was no stitches added to the underarm. So you would basically just join the front to the back without adding anything under the underarm. I added a couple of stitches. I think I added about 5 to each side. And I mean, it didn't mess with the pattern at all. And I liked the way that it looked. And I mean, it just seemed kind of odd to me not to have any stitches cast on in the middle there. So that was my answer to that. And just perfect black buttons, I think. This is definitely my favorite sweater ever. I had so much fun making it. It did not take very long. It's DK weight yarn, so it was super simple and quick to make. It has enough interest to kind of keep you going. You're basically alternating rib and stockinette. And I don't know, I'm thinking about making, you know, 4 or 5 and having a whole rainbow collection of them. I have heard from both sides of the fence on Barocco Vintage DK. Some people haven't liked it and some people have liked it. I'm one of the people that do like it, so keep that in mind, that you always want to kind of take a feel for the yarn, feel the yarn, and see what you think of it, because just because I like something doesn't mean you guys will. So okay, I think that that's all that I have to talk about for knitting and crochet this week. It has been a week, so let me say that if you are leaving now before I talk about my life for 5 minutes, that is perfectly fine. Thank you so much for coming. If you could, please give this video a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. As for the rest of you, this week has been very tiring. We're kind of getting back into the swing of like juggling after school stuff with like tutoring, like with work and with doctor's appointments and all of these competing things. So it's been a lot to kind of get through this week. I did just finish reading a couple of books. So one of the books that I read, I'm not going to tell you the name of, because if you're that interested, I'm going to end up putting my books on my Goodreads sometime in the next week, so you can take a look there. But the reason I don't want to mention what book this was is because it was terrible. Like, wow. I kept stopping the book and thinking and going, did AI write this? Because the plot was so confusing. And I don't know if it was just me or if I was too distracted and just not feeling the book, but I thought that the plot was so fantastical that I kept going. This is not, what is going on, basically? And I did stick through the book and finish it. It did not get better. I then looked on Goodreads to see what rating it had, and it was like a 4.2 out of 5. So I am absolutely convinced that I got the wrong book. Okay. The next book that I read, and I really like this one. This is called The Memory Ward. Yes, that's what it's called. And I'm putting the information down in the screen. This was a good book. If you're looking for a unique book, like a creepy, unique book, and you like psychological books, you like thrillers, this is definitely one to check out. So you start off with the main character being the mailman in this small town in the middle of nowhere with small shops, and everybody's super happy and peaceful and calm, and you kind of get the feeling that something's wrong with this place, and the mailman does too. So he starts to think that there's just something's going on, something's not right. And I'm trying to think of how to explain it. I don't want to ruin it for you. It is very good. It deals a lot with memories. It deals a lot with conspiracies and like science experiments and all sorts of cool things. So if that sounds like something that would be interesting to you, I would take a look at the back of the book and see what you think. It does start off kind of slow, but I loved the ending. I thought that, you know, it was very well worth it, and I was super, super excited to kind of work my way through it, I almost feel like I want to read it again, because I feel like it's one of those books that you will appreciate more the second time around, because you know what you know and what you learned at the end. So the other book, well, let's see. I started a book today, and what is it called? Don't Tell Me How to Die. I think that's what it's called. And I'm going to kind of abstain from commenting much on this, but I will give you guys like what the book's about so far. It is about this lady who has inherited a genetic disease, and she is going to be dying soon, and before she dies, she wants to find her husband's next wife. And that's pretty much as far as we've gotten so far. So I thought that it sounded interesting. It was available on Hoopla. I use both Hoopla and Libby, and then Audible. And then, yeah, that's it. So it has been interesting, but I'm probably on the second or third chapter, so it could go in a completely different direction. Okay, guys, I think that is it. I've talked way too long, so I will see you guys next week. Thank you for coming out and hanging around with me. If you could, please give this video a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys next week. Don't forget to leave a comment if you want to be entered in next week's giveaway. Thank you. Bye.